welcome to the Ups and Downs of Raw podcast. My name is Skye. This is Kiko. We talk on, ups and downs of being a raw vegan, high raw vegan. And today we're talking a big topic, sleep hacks.
Yay! Hi, Sky. Hi, everyone. Happy to be back. Yes, sleep hacks. So
How did we
it's
get here? Hang on, I'm finding my juice. I lost my juice for a second there. Keep talking. There we go.
sure.
Back.
Oh my God. Yeah, I've got this is my green, green, but I also have green smoothies inside. Yours is juice. I made this like maybe close to 30 years ago. This was probably my first matcha cup.
Oh, I love that. When you said 30 years ago, I thought you meant the drink. And I'm like, I don't think you should be drinking a drink that's 30 years old, Kiko, and don't promote around here.
With fermented juice.
They'd
So,
probably be alcoholic and knock you out.
so
You'd be cheating.
cheers.
Then you'd be like, this is how you sleep? Here's the sleep hack.
Yes. So this might be a bit too easy to say, but for me, the best sleep hacks is staying raw vegan. Oh my God, it makes a huge difference. I think I've talked about this, but before I went raw, I had nightmares almost every single night. Like very intense nightmare every single night.
That's so
It's great.
scary.
Yeah, but you know, you get used to it. It's scary,
Yeah. It's a
but
result of an inflamed brain, right? When my mum's Lyme's disease gets flared up,
mm,
before it gets flared up and in the midst of her dreams, she thrashes around all night. Like she wakes up exhausted and the doctor said it's brain inflammation. So that's so
yeah,
scary that you were having that sort of thing too.
yeah, and really, it. I have been on this diet for over 21 years, and I think it took me a while for me to get what works for me, and I'm still adjusting nowadays, right? But sometime in the beginning, I used to eat a lot of nuts. That made me feel so heavy, even if I stayed fully raw, and
Yep.
I felt kind of heavy. And now I stay raw and I don't eat after. I usually stop eating around 4 to 5. My heavy meals are from 1 p.m. to maybe 3 p.m. And
Yep.
around 4 5, I might eat some fruits. But I stop eating around 6 o'clock completely. And even if I eat around that time, it's light enough. And that makes a huge, huge difference. Oh my God, what a life change for me. How about you?
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. I have many, many sleep hacks depending on what's going on in somebody's life. I have had two periods in my life where they've taken me off massive amounts of opioids, psychiatric medications, things like, Valium, that I was on fentanyl. This is all for this, 60 surgeries I had. It was all prescribed. And I went through SSRIs. They took me off my hormones. They shouldn't have been done like that, but it was. So there's a bracket there of 3 months where I didn't even think it was possible because I've had insomnia before, but there's no sleep. There's no reprieve. The only thing that happens is 40 minutes blackout. Like you black out and then you come to usually having severe post-traumatic stress. It's like if the dream comes into your life, and this has happened twice, and it's all both times been drug withdrawal related. And also, while that's happened, I've already been dissociated. So that's a very inflamed brain. I've had different levels of insomnia when I was very sick, like when I was very medicated. And now, if I don't really get it being raw, but I will say I'm on day 9 of doing a high omega-3 keto diet. I've never slept like this in my whole life. My brain is so quiet. And just off topic here, I've gone down this big rabbit hole how 100 years ago, they worked out that a ketogenic diet stopped non-responsive epilepsy, non-treatment responsive epilepsy. Now they've found it cures bipolar, PTSD, ADHD. It just goes, the list goes on, right? And
Mm,
I've mentioned this many times. The biggest benefit for me, I found on this is how quiet my brain is. I didn't even know it was still chatting on a raw diet. Now there's nothing. I'm so present. And when I tap into my brain, it's just giving me knowledge and information. And I can read and I can research. And that's like such a gift on top of having no symptoms. And that's why I'm doing it. But I guess this is where I am right now. In the past, at least, the first couple of nights weren't the same, but obviously, yeah. But the last 4 days, I literally head hits the pillow. I don't remember a thing until 8 hours later. And even when I was on raw, I sleep through the night, but I do wake up and kind of toss and turn. But since doing that, and also my pattern of eating is very similar to yours. I have my heaviest meal between like 1 and 3, and then there'll be a second meal around 4 or 5, quite much smaller, and then I stop.
Mhm.
And then yeah, so that in like general, I think people need to not underestimate the power of their lifestyle. Like that's the before I give you hacks on things, like the power of a lifestyle is like the fundamentals, right?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it shows actually, Sky, that you sleep well, right? We've been doing this podcast for every week, and I started to notice like if you didn't sleep well, I noticed, and now I can see that you had a really good night's sleeps.
I don't think it's just sleep. I think people can't underestimate what my body was doing with all those symptoms where I wasn't mentally registering them, but they wear a person down. Like when you've been chronically ill, you're not constantly aware of all your symptoms. So, chronic digestive issues, GERD, nerve pain, chronic fatigue. I was getting POT symptoms. And the way my body works is I'm only conscious of maybe 1 or 2 symptoms at a time, and the body just suppresses that. So I think, well, that would have disrupted my sleep. But I think in general, like we're not just looking at the results of sleep here. We're looking at like something that works for me, something where I've got no symptoms, like not even nothing. And now my brain is like feeling supercharged. Um, I think it all adds up, and that's what is going to help somebody sleep too. If you
Mhm.
exercise, even if it's walking, you have low stress, you have eaten well. And I'm not even saying that it has to be a raw vegan diet, but if those things work for you, you'll sleep well.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things that it's not just one thing for sure. For me as well, not just raw vegan. It's just a broad thing that I can mention, but yeah, there's so much going in. Like even if I were to stay fully raw vegan, and if I eat at 10 o'clock and I go to sleep right away, I wouldn't sleep well. And also, if I were to be stressed right before going to sleep, I wouldn't sleep well. And I've mentioned this before, but sometime I would do breathing technique. So part
Mm.
of my work, being a guide, I go to I take my clients to a temple, and clients learn how to meditate, Zen meditation from monks. And one of the monk shared the way to meditate, and this hacks works really, really well for me, which is to count 1 to 10. So you need to focus on breathing in and out, like very slowly as possible. So you start from exhale from your mouth as long as you can, and inhale from your nose. And when you exhale, every time you exhale, you count first up to 10. So first, second, and you just do this all the way up to 10. And this technique works so well. It's amazing. Like, I usually count second. By the time I count second or third, I'm gone. It's
Wow.
very quick.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So off the back of that hack, a general hack that I've used throughout my life, which is off the back of, I was in a yoga book, a type of yoga and breathing. And it's to do with tapping as well, because you hold these 2 points on your forehead You block one side of your nose and you breathe in, and then you breathe out through your mouth, and then you hold that. And then I've always fallen asleep, and I learned
Mm.
that like from a really young age. But
Oh.
in general, like back, you can sleep hygiene is more important than people realize. Like, so when I was in these psychiatric units and not sleeping, or even, and I still use this to this day, and I'm just talking about at the time, it may not fix it, but it's really important people use these principles. I will attach it to this live when it's finished because I've made a little sleep hygiene list. But when you're in there, they'll give you like a little sleep pack. And at a certain time each night, you really need to turn off blue lights. If you're having sleeping problems, you have to turn off blue lights. At the same time, every night, you have your shower, you put your pajamas on. All these things are little cues to your body, like the environment as to where it should be. Okay. And then use a sleep mask if that to black out the room. Chamomile tea, all at the same time, no lights going back on. And people are like, that's not going to fix it. I have gone through bouts where I wouldn't even call it insomnia. When someone doesn't sleep at all, I don't know what you call it. But in doing this ingrains itself. Eventually, it may take months. And some people may need sleep assistance in some way, whether that's natural or medications. If you can't sleep, right, you take it at the same time every night. But don't let that be your magic pill. Like, don't think that that's actually fixing a problem. You may need it for the first 2 nights. Usually with insomnia, a doctor will prescribe something if it's bad enough for 3 nights, because you can't just sleep one night. It'll 3 nights. But after that, you're on your own, right? You've got to learn to do this. So that's what doctors are for, when things get very, very serious, right? But what are you doing in the background to support yourself is so important. And
Mm.
I have found that I don't stick to all of them now, but they're the backbone of what I do when I'm getting wound up or I default back to. And I think it's really important, and that's lifestyle, right? Is no matter how bad your sleeping problem is, and someone said melatonin or valerian root. I've tried melatonin. I haven't tried valerian. I just don't like, you wake up kind of hungover. Magnesium does help me. I do have magnesium at night, some magnesium. That's kind of as far as it will go. But I just want to stress in this, like, no matter
Mm.
what you do, even if it is a tablet or even if it is breathing and the breathing helps, the more you set up sleep hygiene, the more successful long term. And just one more thing about this is, I've been in a psych unit when I was much younger, and the first 2 days they do not let you take off your pajamas. And the reason being is they want your brain to cue into the fact that pajamas equals sleep. And because people are
Mm.
wound up, they can give people medications, right? But off the
Mm.
back of that is, they said there's nothing stronger than the cues that your body keeps looking at. So they don't let, so this is like something I really want to stress is vital.
Mm. Yeah, it's so true. That's why they say that in the bedroom, it's better not to put anything, but just to sleep. Don't bring in books um, or put the bookshelf, because that could clutter or overwhelm the brain,
Yeah.
or computer. Yeah. So I believe it, that kind of like a ritual going into sleep, so our brain knows that we are going to sleep. I have two hacks that I wanted to share that helped so much for people that I shared. So when I was in France, I had a hard time sleeping. Now here in Kyoto, oh my God, I sleep so well, so quickly, and very, uh, like nightmares are very rare for me. So essential oils, I think I've mentioned this before
Oh
with you.
yeah.
Yeah, the rosemary, the combination of rosemary essential oil and lemon, it's excellent for your brain to wake up. And there was a study in Japan, I think, or maybe this was in France, that they've done. No, no, this was in Japan. They've taken number of people who had dementia, and this did the work on this brand of essential oil in the morning. As soon as they wake up, they would have a blend of rosemary and lemon oil, and they would wear this essential oil pendant for 2 3 hours. And before going to sleep, so like if you want to go to sleep at 10 o'clock, they would wear another pendant from 7 o'clock or so, like so 2 to 3 hours before going to sleep, they would wear a pendant with lavender and sweet orange mix. And it was a very interesting research that within 2 3 years, those dementia people with dementia, they they all improve the symptom, and most of them they came out of dementia. This is like crazy. I mean, those people are like
Amazing.
70 years old with dementia, and their memory improved. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was so intrigued, and I tested myself. My husband and I both started to sleep much better, and I started to share with people in Paris and in Japan. And there was this lady, her husband had a cancer, and he's been on the sleep pill for years, and he could not sleep without that sleeping pill.
Yeah.
And with that blend that I sent to him, he he stopped taking sleeping pills. And this lady, she's like, "Oh, I'm so thankful to for you. My husband, like, he sleeps so well with this. Now we are addicted, and it's like he doesn't have to take any pills." And that, I mean, when you can have a good night's sleep, it just changes the whole thing. Your mood and your health is so much better. So that's one hack that helped a lot of people, including myself. And another one is I learned this technique called sujok. Sujok is I think it was born in Korea. It's acupressure with color therapy combined, and
Wow.
yeah, it's very simple. uh you just put the highlighter. um
Yep.
you have a blue highlighter. You put on the fingers, the tip of the fingers. So you just put the blue highlight all the way, all of the 10 fingers, and yes, you just sleep with it. They recommend doing this.
Wow.
Yeah, they just recommend doing it on your toes, because this is, kind of, you would see it, but you just paint the blue color on your toes, and everyone comes back, reporting back to me saying, "Kiko, I have no idea this worked, but I slept so well after so many days that I couldn't sleep. I slept so well last night." And what it does is that blue color calms our minds. So a lot of people can't sleep because there's so much clutter. So,
Mm.
if
That's
anyone
so
wants to sleep.
interesting. That's actually reminding me of a lot of people find success for anti-inflammatory properties of methylene blue, and I've never used it. And now it's making me think, because a lot of people's insides start to turn blue, is what's the effect that the therapy is just the color. But I actually feel, where I notice at the moment, most of the food I eat is green, white, and I can do a little bit of purple. And I do believe we would have originally been attracted to these colors for a reason, uh, whether to ingest, whether to hold, and really tapping into that. But I think they're amazing
Mm.
ways to help with sleep. And I really think when it comes to natural therapies and sleep hygiene, is the key is all of them. Like, is
Yeah.
the more you add in, the better it's going to go, right? It's not, these are all very natural therapies. And the problem is not so much, I don't even necessarily think it's just the person's problem. I think the world is so stressful. We're
Mm.
around these bright lights all day. We have busy lives. Work is busy. We're ungrounded. Like, the days that I'm grounded and I've been at the beach most of the day, who doesn't sleep well when they've been to the beach, right?
I
Your
love it.
mind is
Yeah.
still, you're grounded. And so that we're ungrounded, we're in office buildings all day. And it's like we're like a frying
Mm.
circuit. So the more
Sure.
you've exercised, had raw foods, ground yourself, get that your whole body like connected back to the earth. Look, I did use a grounding mat for a period and I found success in it, except I'm sensitive to metals and of course there's copper in it, and the way the circuit is, and so it caused me
Mm.
problems. But a lot of people have success in grounding mats. Do you use a grounding mat?
I've never used it. I think I tried it, not at home, at someone's home, and I didn't see much of a difference. So I don't use it, and I sleep really well now. Um, but I also wanted to say, oh yeah, it was a few weeks ago. I went on mountain cycling for 70 kilometer, right? And then that night I slept so well. I do sleep well every night, but I downloaded the app for sleep cycle, and Sleepmeister is the app that I download. And then that night where I did the biking in the mountain for 70 kilometer, that's like 6 hours, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful countryside. My sleep score was 99.9%. I have never had that much of a, efficiency of score. So,
Yeah. It
you
really
know,
brings back the truth that we are meant to move most of the day, pick fresh food as we do it, be low stress, be grounded, talk to nature, and then sleep on the earth. I remember one of the greatest experiences I had was when I'd been raw about 6 months and I was doing just basically fruits, veggies, salad,
mm,
no nuts, seeds, spice, whatever. I went to a campground with no Wi-Fi. My tent was on the ground by a running rainwater river. The showers were rainwater. That whole 3 days, I felt like I was floating in God's kingdom. And especially, with the feeling when you first go raw, how you're so like in awe of the feeling of raw.
mm,
And then you just amp that. You just start amping that up with all the other things that give you that wholeness. And in fact, like whether I was sleeping or awake, you're in a place, a consciousness that you're unbothered. Like
mm,
you're just it's hard to explain. I call it, well, you could call it enlightenment because everything's so light. It's like everything has this vibration that you can the thing I notice when you go raw and you eat fresh foods is everything I feel like starts talking nature wise. It
mm,
has a vibe before
yeah.
everything's just kind of dead. And then you give it rainwater and you sleep on the ground and everything just becomes more alive. It's
Mm,
like becoming
mm,
alive, right? And
mm,
so like your consciousness, whether you're asleep or awake, and even like it was like being like a child again. It was magical. So
yeah.
don't underestimate like getting your shoes off, getting grounded,
Mm,
um, to help yourself for your night's sleep.
yeah. My husband and I, we both don't feel too much of effect on blue lights, or like my husband, he reads from his smartphone when before going to sleep. And I have my app. I put this phone on the airplane mode. And some people are very sensitive about Wi-Fi, so they would just turn off their Wi-Fi when they go to sleep. We don't do that. We don't feel the difference. I tried it. I don't feel the difference. But when my husband and we go sometime on a trip and we sleep in the car, and that's like where there's no city lights. It's wild nature. There's like deers visiting us in our car. It's just when we sleep in the car where there's no internet connection, just we just hear the river flow in the mountain. We just sleep so well. It's just something magical. We
I
really enjoy.
love that.
Yeah, we
I
enjoy
do.
living.
I do love that. I'm seeing the comments here. I just want to bring up this one. So rainwater often contains whatever is in the air it passed through. And that's the brilliance of rain and nature is the condensation essentially comes down, right? And turns into raindrops. But it's not just water, like water that we throw through a hose. It's basically like electric, like the universe. It has a field, it's ionized. We want
Mhm.
that to clean the air, right? And I really want to preface here that we could go back and say fruit and vegetables are bad because they grow from dead things. Like you've really got to be careful how much negativity. If you feel negative, you can see negative everywhere. So all plants grow in the past, right? They're all in dead waste, whether that's animals, humans, old food. So I believe we have to, a huge thing, not just with sleep health, but life health and getting through life the way it is we have to look at the positive aspects of it. Of course, if you're allergic, if you're having a sensitivity in your area to the water, that's great. But there is negative in everything.
Mm,
Everything has negative. Like
mm,
I just told you the negative. You could say I don't want to eat that but I'm grateful that things that are of the past have laid themselves so the future can grow. And
yeah.
but very easily you can get caught up and not know. That's the thing. You usually don't know till you look back.
You know, about the rainwater, I see a huge difference with rainwater and tap water by looking at my garden. My garden is like I just love visiting my garden right after the rain because it's nothing compared to if I were to water with tap water, right? So I have
I
a
agree. Yes,
yeah, I have a
it becomes
rain.
alive, right? It's
Yeah,
like I
it's
feel like
just
the universe comes alive.
they are so I can feel that they're singing in joy after the rain, and we love going into mountain, you know, right after rain. Like it's been raining here this weekend, so it was just so the mountain feels so fresh and lively right after rain. It's just yeah, they're just singing, you know. Being raw vegan, we feel more connected to nature, and it's just amazing, like the difference it makes. It seems like the same water, right? Like when you look at it, it looks just the same rainwater or tap water, but yeah, it makes a huge
I don't
difference.
know whether it does. I feel like once you go raw, you become very conscious of when you're around these energies. Like when I'm around the shower, like you still get ions from being in water, right? But
Mhm.
I feel dense, like metal dense, like that the water has run through metal pipes. Like I feel that, right? But when you go outside, I feel drawn to the water. Like I love running and walking in the rain. I love being in the ocean in the rain. And it's like I feel, or puddles, I feel like the
Mhm.
energy, and I didn't used to be like that. But off the back of I met a couple people who had been in the army, and they would come back from the army and be in the city. How we got to this story is they're telling about the first shower, and they haven't showered in so long, and then they
Mhm.
got back to Sydney, and they showered, and they said they moved off grid. And so my brother-in-law owns a recycled building center. So he recycles buildings and resells things, which is amazing, right? So when
Mhm.
I was there, these people came in and were telling me the story that they moved off grid. And they said the biggest thing they noticed about showering in rainwater was their skin and hair. They said, I didn't change anything I use. I don't really even need to use any shampoo anymore. My hair is just fluffy and light and just sits. And my
Wow.
skin is not dry and cracking. And I feel like even if you get a water filter, it's not the same as like the energy of nature on the body.
Wow. So interesting.
Uh,
You know, some people, actually, a lot of people said be careful not to get rained because, you know, it absorbs all the toxic from the air, right? So I think you want to be
yes and
careful,
no.
yeah, especially at beginning. So like if you are living in this highly
Yes.
toxic polluted area, oh, it absorbs and it just rains down on you. So it's very acidic. But
But
if
that's
you're
the
in a
same
off,
with food, right? Is like with that is there is toxic levels of sprays on certain foods. I love raw food, but don't eat the stuff that's toxic. I think we have to use our common sense a lot and just go. I live in a toxic area. They say don't go out into the rain for the first 15 minutes. Do that
Mhm,
once it flushes through. If
mhm,
you feel like it work, and try it. If it doesn't work for you, if they've given you a safety zone, try it. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. But I think
mhm,
we have to be really careful once again to not bottle it up with like all of
mhm,
it because there is like it's even like saying, oh, I'm not going to use, I don't know, like anything on my skin, whereas these people are healing with natural essences, like you were saying with the dementia. And
mhm.
just because you put something on it doesn't mean it's negative. Like we have to be careful to stay. I just think that we don't want to sit in fear because I think fear
Yeah.
creates nightmares. Talking about sleep.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that I love that now I think last 5 years or so, people started to talk about how important sleep is. And, when I started raw vegan over 21 years ago, if you eat the clean diet, you only need 3, 4 hours of sleep. And I felt that way when I first went into raw vegan, and it was kind of like you're ashamed if you need to sleep longer. And
Mm,
then now we know that it's so detrimental if you don't sleep, even if you're eating a clean diet, our body needs to rest and restore, and our brain is so important to have that 7 to 8, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours window. This is seven to eight
yeah.
hours is necessary, right? No matter what you eat. And it's great that it's becoming a common sense because, I think for years, I was just going by just 4 or 5 hours, and I had not a lot of energy. But I don't think that was good for my overall health for a long time, long term.
It's kind of like back into that idea where there's like a Goldilocks zone for everything. Like you don't, if you're sleeping all day, there's obviously issues there as well. But that applies to like drinking water. You don't want too little. You definitely don't want too much. You want just right. Just like
Mm,
food, you don't want too little. You don't want too much. You want just right. And everybody's Goldilocks zone is somewhere different. But it gets, yeah, really stressful when your Goldilocks zone is supposed to change,
mm,
like to be quite low. And I just think that applies to every area of health and lifestyle. Is there is like a general Goldilocks zone. You want to sleep. Some people it can be 6, 8, maybe 9. I know teenagers, when their hormones kick in, they say it should be 12 and they don't get it. It's just because they've got this overload that they have to process. But it's the same as working out your Goldilocks zone in all lifestyles is going to help with sleep, right? Then you'll
mm,
find your perfect sleep pattern. And I think it's so important no matter what you find. You might do acupuncture, like this helps, or you see a chiropractor, like this helps, or some sort of herb helps, but still the lifestyle is just going to help you even
mm.
more, like that
Yeah,
foundation.
right. And you were mentioning that omega-3 fat, like you're upping omega-3. So, yeah, how can you share? You've been starting because you were doing that, I think, some time ago, and then you're back again, upping your omega-3 fatty acids.
No, this is completely different to what I was doing before, because before I kept having sweet fruit. And when you do fats and fruits, especially with someone like me who doesn't have a stomach or is inflamed,
Mm,
for some people it just doesn't work. Some people it's fine, right? I felt like I had a whole lot of insulin related issues that have just stopped now. So about 2 weeks ago, I was so symptomatic and worked out that doing flax oil and just celery juice or green juice, which is electrolytes, stopped my symptoms, which were just like the whole lot of general symptoms. I wouldn't call it a disease yet, but a whole lot of general symptoms. And it would stop. But the one thing that it did was make me tired and feel depressed.
mm,
But I wasn't looking after my thyroid then. So I had let the iodine and not having selenium. And I did have slower thyroid, like hypothyroidism, and on my blood test. So I started looking after that, and then I still had symptoms, and they're just piling up, like teeth, a trigeminal functional neurological disorder symptoms coming back. And I was like, you don't have really a choice anymore. You're going to have to cut sugar completely, and you're
mm,
going to have to get your source of energy from fats, which means you go into ketosis.
mm,
So since doing that, it's just been my health has just been incredible. And I do credit the omega-3 fatty acids just
mm,
healing so much of my brain while being in ketosis. And when I describe it to people who fast are like, it sounds like you're fasting. And I said,
mm,
yes, essentially what ketosis or ketones do is you starve the body. And that's another reason you will feel tired and depressed when you first go on it, because you starve the body just like fasting, right? But you have to let the body learn to make ketones. And then once it does, I like to think of it as running on back end. Like if you become so sensitive that even blood sugar changes, was basically giving me histamine issues, fasting doesn't work for me. And I don't want that to be something I do long
mm,
term. I am aware that this seems to give me no symptoms. But on that, I wasn't expecting my ability to exercise or build muscle very quickly to improve. That I've got my like teenage body back really, really quickly. I basically feel like when I was doing like just fruits to try and fix myself, you can get skinny, but you lose weight everywhere. I didn't want to lose weight everywhere. I had problem areas come up. I didn't understand why that was happening either. Weight on the stomach, weight like coming here, like weight that was under here. Uh, and my waist was just growing. So when you do fruit, is weight would go everywhere, and I'd feel quite weak. But I'd also be very symptomatic. You know, every time I did fruit, I'd disappear for 4 days. I then couldn't get up without my chronic fatigue would get really bad. And so doing this, every symptom has so far stopped for me. And I just keep people updated on YouTube every day with what I'm learning. But I do credit the ability for my brain to concentrate again, like
Mm,
read books again, engage at a level where there's no distraction and how much PTSD I still had. It's just like everything's
mm,
silent. And that
mm.
for me, this is not, and I don't think it's easy to do. I don't think it's easy to do when you have a lot of symptoms and you don't want to be sick. That's how easy it gets for me. But it's not something easy and it's not something I'm doing for life. It's just I needed to stop because I was like a pile up of symptoms.
So you're not taking eating any kind of fruits, like not even like apple or
No.
oranges.
None. The reason being is I've tried to do this before, and I have a tendency to go, and you can do ketosis with some blueberries, even watermelon. You've just got to
Ah, not
keep
even
your
blueberries.
no, I'm not doing any fruit, and there's a reason to it. You can do that on as long as you keep your carbohydrates between 20 to 50 grams a day, you can stay in ketosis. My problem, I think, is that I don't have a stomach. So anything sweet, this is what I think contributes to me having to do it very, very densely and very low carbohydrate is there's no buffer. So the food should go into the stomach, mashed up together, create chyme with whatever the previous meal is still in there is chyme. Like it all kind of mixes together. Then it goes down the duodenum and the intestines, and that's where sugars are absorbed. If you don't
Mm,
have a stomach, the sugar goes straight to the intestine whenever you eat any, and you get what's called dumping syndrome, where you get it used to be really bad. You get a massive blood sugar spike, your heart starts racing, you sweat, you get diarrhea, vomiting, or sometimes you collapse. I usually have to lay down before that happens. That was
mm,
really bad when I started a raw food diet, but I think that is contributing to me not having sweet fruit right now at all. The other thing is I noticed because I'm not doing tomatoes, anything colored is basically out besides some purple cabbage. That's the only kind of colored food. The reason being I noticed I'd be like trying to follow ketosis and I'm like, you can have tomato, I'll add some carrot, I'll add some bell pepper. Before I know it, I've talked myself into adding a whole lot of foods, and that
mm,
addiction part of my brain seems to set off. By doing this, I have really little, my addictions, cravings, they're not there because I'm eating what I call neutral.
mm,
But Koala Mama said it well. She's like, you're making your own protocol. I'm like, I feel that's what works for me. Like I have to take information from other people, take what works for my body, and create what works for me.
mm.
And
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. So very neutral foods,
Mm.
and it's not that they're not you can't have them. I can't.
You know, I'm so proud of you, Sky. You are um a warrior,
Oh,
finding your own path. And that's what it is, right? Like, we might get inspired, but we have to find our own path,
me too.
right? And I'm just so proud of you. I don't know the word. I feel like I'm so proud of you is not the right word for me, for you. I just want to congratulate you for,
Oh,
finding the path that works. And we adjust as we go, and it's okay. It's your
yeah,
own path, right? And it's
yeah,
so beautiful that this your path is very different from others, and that's beautiful. That's fantastic. Oh, I wanted to ask you, have you ever taken a omega-3 test? Like, you can check your level.
no. I'll touch on that in 1 second. So I have I think because I've been through so much, I'm very good at almost dissociating when things start coming up and piling up, and I just keep going. Usually, I guess it was happening again. What I've done in my life is I keep going until, well, my stomach has to be removed or I'm bedridden on a walking stick. Like I've just been that way because I've been sick so long. But I laid on my bed last night and took this photo of me because I was so proud of me for doing 8 days on this more restrictive diet, but having no symptoms. My apartment was clean. It hasn't been clean in like 6 months, where the cleaners
Oh wow.
came just because I've been sick. I usually do something and then I've just been resting. I think, and it's not that I was hiding it. I was sharing what I could, but I don't think I'm aware of just how bad I get so quickly. Well, I think people notice. I've disappeared for a week, week and a half, come back a few days, come back. And I was like, it's not just that the symptoms weren't there, that I actually went for my walk. I completed tasks. So I was like really, really proud of myself. Now, as for tests, the reason I like to get a general test. The reason I don't do microbiome tests and I don't do there's a whole lot of tests I could have, is because I feel like it would just deter me from what I need to get done. And that is, the results aren't going to change what I need to do. Does that make sense? So yes, they give me a general way of, like, I know the body needs as many nutrients as possible. And I like to have a general test to check that, like, my organs and that the big ones are working. And then as it showed up that my thyroid wasn't working. But if I know me, if I start going down rabbit holes, I will start becoming obsessed with things. Look, so that's where I am. I do want to say as well, by doing this, I don't react to anything. There's no histamine issues. I don't have any issues around perfumes. Perfumes smell normal. I don't want to use them, but I'm not attacked, right? So I've added a couple of amino acids that were in the cupboard, don't react to them anymore. So I have ordered some very natural algae oil. I'm going to try. I
Oh
am
my
going to
God.
try.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you started already?
No, it's
No.
ordered. And I get why Dr. Brooke Goldner doesn't use it to heal, because it's bloody expensive. Like, I think it was 60 tablets was $69 plus $15 delivery. And I will, it was actually making me think, as I've healed, how much I've just put all my money into all the food and getting well. And people might think I spend a lot on food. I don't care. It's the only thing that works. But this I'm willing to spend money on if it works, because truthfully, when I used to be sick, I used to have a lot of, I'm vegan now, but fish oil in my system, which seemed to help me with pain and regulating my body. So hopefully I will keep everyone updated when I start and how it goes.
How much they cost, the algae oil?
So it's Australian brand, 60. This is very generous. Some are $215. This is 60 tablets for $69.15 or something, plus $15 shipping. So what's 70, 80, $85 for 60 tablets?
Well, the total cost for 60 days, so that would last 2 months, right?
Well, I don't know. I feel like I have malabsorption problems. So it might say take one a day. But when I used to take it, I used to mega dose on this type of stuff, where I take 3 capsules a day of something that was recommended once a day, just because I have struggled. That's why flax oil works, right? Is you can give me all the chia and flax seeds in the world, but without having a part of your digestive system, it doesn't absorb well. So I almost have 8 to 10 tablespoons a day now of flaxseed oil. I don't think I'm absorbing even all of that, right?
Wow. In oil form. Wow, that's hardcore. I had to stop taking flaxseed oil because I feel like it was irritating my skin. I'm not sure if it's exactly that, but yeah, I feel much better without it. But yeah, wow,
Do you take algae oil?
no, I'm gonna look into it because that seems to be something more easier for my body, Japanese body to
Yeah, of
incorporate.
course.
Mm.
Of course. Also, I was not good. I think I was having massive problems with the oil, with the biggest thing you don't like, I find in my body that shows up cellulite, is if I've eaten any fruit and I put oil in my system, literally the next day you move my thigh and you start to see lumps. Like, my body was really struggling with fats and sugars, and I tried sugars to heal. It did not work for me. So the fats are working. But yeah, I could not take that much with anything sweet in it. I don't know whether I'm taking that much now. Maybe yesterday's 6, but sometimes if I get symptoms and I go to the fridge and I start taking mouthfuls of flax oil, it was stopping. But I've shared that before. It's done it whether I'm actually to sleep. When I was in New York, I had nerve pain and I also couldn't sleep, but I also had jet lag. And I would just go to the fridge and start taking mouthfuls of flax oil. I'm out. It's my
That's
medicine.
amazing.
It is amazing, but it's a safety switch too, right? It's like it gives you a bit of confidence that if something comes up, so that definitely helps.
Great. So now you're just drinking just the celery, and do you add lemon or?
Yeah, celery, lemon. Today I have, and I'm not having a histamine reaction. At the start, it was just celery or celery cucumber. Now I'm doing lime or lemon, ginger, cucumber, and celery. It tastes like a lemon ginger blast without the sweetness.
Oh, I love that. I love celery juice.
Mm.
Oh,
All right, guys.
yeah.
Well, I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas. I mean, I'll be back on YouTube, but this is the last time Kiko and I will be together until after Christmas.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Are we meeting next week?
I'm fine too if you want to meet. Or do you want to take a
29th?
break? We haven't discussed it.
I don't want to do. I don't want to take a break from you.
Oh, I don't want to take a break from you, so let's do it. I think yeah, we'll be back next week unless there'll be further news. All right,
Great.
guys. And
Okay.
thanks, Kiko.
Thank you. Thank you, Skye. Bye.
Bye.